All right, everyone, we're going to try something a little bit different here. I've built my team up. My web warriors are ready to go, and you can see that they've 898 symbiotes have now been supplanted pretty firmly by my 919k web warriors. So we're going to try something which basically is an indicator of if they're built for the future. One of the things that I try to do is literally just hit auto and see what they're able to perform in that regard. And so it's one of those things where if they can auto this, then they're built for that sim feature that we think might be coming down the road relatively soon. Let's hold on. Let's find out. Here we go. Now, auto is not preferable because honestly, you don't have there's no impact over who can get targeted. You can have things change. You can get stuck on summons. You get stuck behind tanks that should be prioritized as being destroyed. Things like deflects that you need to make the team function may be gone. And more importantly, you can get easily out of sync with a couple of dodges here. But I think just realistically, we're probably going to see this team just delete this node in under a minute here, which is going to be kind of what we thought this team was able to do. Is just really go into a team and just fully just annihilate them. And again, we've got Elsa, we've got two undodgeable attacks incoming here. So unless they get in there and do the damage really quickly, it's there's some potential for ruin, and I don't think that you should try this at home necessarily. I'd be curious if a 700k can do it, but you might be expending some energy. So right about a minute and 8 seconds. That's a good day for some of us here. And so that was a quick run on that one. Let's try the next one. Now, this one's a lot harder because there's a lot more damage that can be backloaded from the Phyla-Vels if they get their offense up. If they land a couple of inopportune disrupts on the team, they can fall apart. And again, no heals are being used in between. They're going in full. There's a bunch of different components here that can make this team fall apart. So we're going to see if we can do it right really quickly. All right, so again, no hands, no targeting here. We'll see how this happens. All right, there's that disrupt. That disrupt's kind of key. Make sure they don't get the offense up here. I would love for trauma to happen right now to make sure Phyla-Vel just gets ripped out of here. So that she doesn't get that, clear those debuffs here. And so that was fortuitous. Remember, they get energy back from Ghost Spider. All right, those dodges are going to get them some speed up, which is going to be super helpful. And that's going to put some damage right where we need to get the damage out of it. So, again, I think that to a certain degree, this team is built for the future, but there's a couple of ability blocks. There's no disrupts. That could have been easily something that caused the team a little bit of havoc here. If Moon Knight did land that on the team, there's a disrupt on Spider-Man, and that might spell his end. I mean, realistically, that's the only thing I think that can kill them is disrupts. Is literally if they get disrupted, it can go really fast. That they can get burst down because they're not getting the advantage of the evades and the passive buffs that are increased on this. But again, to take a look at this in comparison to where we were with symbiotes, where the symbiotes just failed to perform. I mean, this is kind of set it and forget it at a similar power level. With I have less G15s on this team, but I do have two G16s, so that should factor a small percentage into this overall. But obviously, you can see that they're still leaving some momentum here with offense up on a Phyla-Vel that could easily delete a character if they don't dodge it, but they should have no problem and just another node autoed by this team without any death. So I'll review what I've done with this team and just kind of talk about what, realistically why we said that this was going to be, the future. And we said that they might build a sim down the road. So we're going to go over this. We're going to talk about positioning. We're going to talk about all of the things that are important here. Let's just do this really quickly. So the Web Warriors, I added some T4s, and mainly because I have 7 red stars, and I went for the the EP points here. So I added some T4s. I haven't done the one on Spider-Man, which I think I'm probably going to do to get them finally position where their damage output excels, but that's mostly because I'm going to keep trying to auto until I can auto the boss, and that's the big difference in that regard. The next piece of the puzzle is there's still a couple of G14s over here, and they're still landing their abilities. Remember, it's really important to understand that, especially with Miles and Spider-Man, that G14 holds a lot of their potential. The way they built the reworks lately, they've been stacking a lot of the stat increases behind G14, and realistically, that's what we expected them to do. And G14 is one of the more obscure resources out there, and so you'll see that I'm still well behind where I want to be for Bio to finish him up, and more importantly, Oz formula. After you get this many characters maxed out, you run low. But I'm going to tell you that in all aspects, this team is performing much better than the initial impressions were led us to believe. They're actually doing things at lower investment levels than the symbiotes ever did, and more importantly, are pushing the content. Now, again, one thing is, we're going to talk about ISO one last time. There's the reason why I've locked in Skirmisher on him is because of the fact that he is probably the last character that you're potentially going to upgrade. Now, and this is something I want you to understand. Aside from the passive bonus from Ghost Spider giving her the higher damage, and the health from Scarlet Spider giving him the highest health, they're identical stats at the same star and gear level. They've been built with the similar origin stories, so they actually honored that, I think, very, very well in how they designed the characters. So the drawback is he doesn't have the most damage potential of all the characters. He has decent amount of focus built into some of his kits, but what I was finding is even at G14 for Red Star, he was missing key stuns from resists in 2.3 raids that just made me feel like the extra ability to apply defense down on a target and guarantee that was being spread by Ghost Spider and really get the debuffs spooling made the Skirmisher a final result. Another thing was, when we were building this team, we had kind of the 4+1, and in certain 4+1, specifically some of the Doom counters, having him as a Skirmisher allowed you to set up a multiple buff clear from some of the more difficult targets like Juggernaut or Blob. So it allowed you to get behind defenses to get into where they actually shine, which is potentially taking on Doom. That early ability block, the ability to extend it with Miles's special, is something that can't be taken for granted. So I kind of envision them as this team. Again, you can go raw damage on them and you won't be wrong. You just don't get as much utility out of them. But more importantly is, in the future, they can build a raid that has 800% resistances. They've already done that, FYI. And you'll wish you had a Skirmisher on the team to make sure those debuffs landed. This is kind of the way that I built this team. And one other thing I'm going to reiterate, you guys may have seen this throughout my video, he isn't as fast as people think he is. This stat right here, this 122, is not accurate. This is something that I think needs to be addressed as soon as possible. His base speed is not being applied until the first character goes, much in the same way you see with Daredevil and Black Widow. And this is something that's led a lot of people to make some, I think, different choices about the team. And I don't know that they're aware that this is actually how they work out of the team. Now, I will say that Miles I like in the middle to hopefully break any of those chains by being stealth. you can position them next to your weakest target. And I do put the weaker characters on the outside wings, or the ones that I don't want to get hit as often. But I find that does help the reduction. But again, this team has been built for the future, and I hope you guys liked seeing them at full auto. We're going to try the boss soon. I'm not sure if they can full auto the boss. Doom is a difficult character to muster up the right set of cooldowns for on your best day. So if they can auto the boss mode, holy cow, what a great achievement. So stay tuned. We'll be able to get into that relatively soon. Anyway, I do things so you don't have to, and I really liked building up this super fun team. So hope you guys see the value in this team going forward.